So with UV levels already high, sunscreen is more vital than ever. But in New Zealand, it's really expensive. We did some price checks this afternoon and it's often about a third more expensive here compared to Australia. So joining us now is Lucy Elwood, CEO of the Cancer Society. Lucy, why is it so much pricier here?
Oh yeah, good evening. I think one of the reasons is because we charge GST on sunscreen. So in Australia, sunscreen as an essential product is exempt from the equivalent of their GST. So that's 15% of the difference right there. But also Australia is a really big market. You know, they've got over 25 million people and they're also pretty good at using sunscreen compared to us Kiwis in many ways, which means that there's just some economies of scale that they manage to take advantage of that we don't have access to here.
I see. Now, Lucy, as you know, we have around 250 people a year die of preventable skin cancers in New Zealand. Sunscreen's such an essential product. What can we do to make it cheaper?
Sunscreen is such an essential product when used as part of those broader protective slip, slop, slap messaging. I mean, one thing is to look for the bigger containers. Typically, the price per 100 mils for a 1 litre bottle, for example, of sunscreen will be cheaper than the smaller containers. So when you're in the supermarket, remember to sort of look up and look down and actually hunt for a price point that is affordable for you.
What about prescriptions? Should we get it subsidised on prescription? Should we be able to use a community services card? Should we be able to get some kind of advantage here because it's so essential?
Gosh, we'd love the government to be looking really boldly at what it can do to increase sunscreen affordability. And the Cancer Society has been a strong promoter of having having sunscreen regulated as a medicine rather than just as an ordinary consumer product, because most sunscreens already comply to that standard. But yes, if it's regulated as a medicine, it does open up the potential that you could look at prescription access, for example, for people on community services cards, and that, as well as other government investments like looking at shade around playgrounds and things, would make a massive difference to actually bringing down the death rate of melanoma, which, as you said, New Zealand is unfortunately a world leader in terms of our death rate, and I want to be, I don't know, a world leader on the sports field rather than a world leader at deaths from cancer.
So you mentioned sunscreen is classed as a cosmetic, as a beauty product in New Zealand, but you'd like it classed as a medicine. What advantage would that give us, do you think?
I think that we're really bad in terms of our behaviours of using sunscreen. So everything we can do to increase consumer confidence in the product would really help. So if it's classed as a medicine, it does mean that every single container is exactly the same, and Cancer Society, other big brands, you know, like Nivea, etc., already manufacture to that standard. In fact, the vast majority of the market does, but it would just help to give consumers more confidence and also make sure that the regulator looking at it is a regulator that understands health products, rather than, say, the Commerce Commission, which is looking at other fair trading products under the Fair Trading Act. So we're really pushing for that, and that's the same standard that applies in Australia. And it means that every manufacturing facility, for example, is audited to that standard. It wouldn't actually create much difference on the shelves because our products in New Zealand are already actually of really high quality, but we think it would create some difference in terms of consumers' confidence. And what we really need is to shift behaviours and get people using more sunscreen and taking those other sun protective measures.
Lucy Elwood, Cancer Society CEO, thanks for your insights this evening.
Thanks for having me.